Listen up. New Fujifilm cameras and lenses, both for X series and the medium format GFX. The XE3, I said XE2. The XE3 is going to be $899. It's going to ship September 28th of this year. I've had a couple XE1s. I'm not a big fan of the ergonomics, but a touchscreen, advanced autofocus, even supposedly better autofocus than the XT20. So that's September 28th, which is only a few days away. Here's an image too from Nokoshita. I'll put the link below. It's the 80mm macro 2.8. The price is kind of high. It's going to be upwards around $1,200. That's for the X series cameras, XT20, XT2, X Pro 2. 80mm 2.8 with optical image stabilization. It looks like the 90mm. So that'll be shipping sometime in late September, early October. I'm guessing actually probably late September. New lenses. First off, a lot of you might not be interested in this since it is the GFX medium format lens, but there's a new lens for 2018 and also a teleconverter, which I don't really care about. Teleconverters and medium format don't really go together. 250mm f4. It's going to have, since the crop factor is 0.78, it's going to have an equivalent 35mm of 198mm, so basically 200mm f4. Amazing. It'll be really, really cheap too. Not. So, yeah, right. 250mm f4 with optical image stabilization. Importantly, this is what everybody's waiting for. Obviously, the macro is going to come out here within a month or so, but also announced for next year is, here's the specs, the 8 to 16mm. Two lenses, a 200mm f2 and an 8 to 16mm. It looks like, according to the lens roadmap, that the 8 to 16 is going to come out sometime in the beginning of next year. 8 to 16mm, this is from Fujifilm. Ultra wide angle zoom lens, equivalent to 12 to 24, like on a 35mm. Maximum 2.8 aperture, suited to shooting dynamic range landscapes, night views, architecture, blah blah blah. Yeah, let's see. No optical image stabilization. Not that I could see. No optical image stabilization. Also, too, for later of next year, a 200mm f2. Oh, wow, with optical image stabilization. So that's fantastic. That is basically a 300mm f2, so equivalent to 305. Still, it's a 300mm. 300mm f2 with optical image. Really, really important on a big lens to have OIS. I bet that lens will be really cheap too. So we got four lenses essentially. One's going to ship very soon, the 80mm macro 2.8 with optical image stabilization. The XE3 is going to ship September 28th. That's a great price for $900. It's not made in Japan. It's made in the Philippines, I'm almost certain. I know it's not made in Japan. They can't, Fujifilm can't make a camera like that out of Japan and sell it for $900. $899, $900, same thing. A GFX 250mm and these two lenses for next year. The 8 to 16mm 2.8 RLMWR weather resistance. Yep. Am I missing anything? No, I'm not missing anything. And the 200mm f2. So there you go. I'll post some links below from Fujifilm and also Nokoshita, the image of the. That's the one I'm waiting for, the 80mm macro. And it looks really close to the 90mm f2, quite honestly. Yeah. Not a big fan of the ergonomics on the XE3. Same as the XE1, but perfect camera. Basically, the XE3, basically what it is like a poor man's X Pro 2. Basically, that's what the XE3 will be. And it'll have a couple additional features that the X Pro 2 doesn't have, like the touch screen. Obviously so. But basically same ergos. I mean, if you know what the XE series, XE2, XE1, which I had a couple of those. Yeah, basically it is a poor man's X Pro 2. That's not demeaning the XE3, but that's basically what it is. Like the XT20 is basically like the poor man's XT2. Doesn't mean you're poor. It's just kind of the way. That's what we used to call stuff. It's like it's the X version and the X version Lite. So used to call it the poor man. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. This is fascinating news from Fujifilm. I can't wait for the 80mm. I definitely can't wait for the 200mm f2. That'll be awesome. I'm not so interested in the XE3, but I know a lot of people are. I mean, hell, I've got so many Fujifilm cameras, I really don't need an XE3. Maybe if I didn't, I'd be more interested in owning it. But that's just me. It doesn't mean anything. It's very subjective and personal in my case. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. Bye.